Let's start with some quick general information before we dive into the main topic. Watch the video until the end, because by the time it's over, you'll wonder how you've spent all this time without knowing these important tips. Why you should freeze bread. 99% of people don't know. Freezing bread is a simple and highly effective way to extend its shelf life, preserve its freshness, and reduce food waste. While many people believe that bread is best consumed fresh, freezing it is an excellent way to keep it tasting great for longer. Here's why freezing bread is a smart idea that most people don't know about. Preserves freshness. Fresh bread can get stale quickly, but freezing it locks in its moisture, texture, and flavor. When you freeze bread, it stops the staling process and helps maintain the bread's freshness for weeks or even months. Prevents waste. By freezing bread, you can extend its shelf life and avoid wasting food. If you buy bread in larger quantities and can't consume it all before it goes bad, freezing it allows you to store it and enjoy it later. Perfect for bulk buying. Buying bread in bulk is a cost-effective option, but bread can easily go stale before you have the chance to finish it. Freezing extra bread ensures you have a constant supply of fresh bread whenever you need it without worrying about spoilage. Easy to thaw. One of the most convenient aspects of freezing bread is that it's incredibly easy to thaw. Simply take the loaf or individual slices out of the freezer and let them thaw at room temperature. Or you can toast the slices directly from the freezer for a quick breakfast or snack. Inhibits mold growth. Bread is susceptible to mold, especially when left in a warm or humid environment. Freezing bread prevents mold from developing, keeping it safe to eat for longer periods. You can store it for weeks in the freezer without worrying about spoilage. Maintains nutritional value. Freezing doesn't affect the bread's nutritional content. The bread retains its original nutrients, meaning you can enjoy the same health benefits as if it were freshly baked, even after it's been frozen. Ideal for homemade bread. If you enjoy baking bread at home, freezing it is an excellent way to enjoy your creations later. It's common for homemade bread to have a shorter shelf life, but freezing allows you to store your baked goods and enjoy the taste of fresh, homemade bread whenever you like. Helps with portion control. Freezing slices of bread individually or pre-slicing an entire loaf before freezing is a great way to control portions. You can take out just the amount you need and avoid defrosting an entire loaf, making it easier to manage bread consumption without waste. Maintains bread texture. Bread can dry out and lose its soft, fluffy texture over time. Freezing helps preserve the original texture, so when you thaw or toast it, it remains just as delicious as when it was freshly baked. Prevents freezer burn. If you store bread in an airtight container or a freezer bag, you can avoid freezer burn, which often affects frozen foods. Proper packaging helps keep the bread tasting fresh, avoiding the dry, unpleasant taste that comes with freezer burn. Saves time. Freezing bread in advance is a time saver, especially if you have a busy schedule. You don't have to worry about constantly running out of fresh bread, and you can simply take a loaf or slices from the freezer whenever you need them. Suitable for all types of bread, whether it's white, whole wheat, sourdough, or artisan bread. Freezing works for almost all types. You can freeze homemade or store-bought bread, and it will still retain its quality. Freezing bread is a simple and effective way to ensure you always have fresh bread on hand, reduce food waste, and save time and money. It's a small habit that makes a big difference in keeping your bread fresh and ready to eat. Why freeze bread? 99% of people don't know. Follow me, because by the end of this video, you'll wonder how you spent all this time without knowing this important information. Bread, that humble staple sitting quietly on your kitchen counter, holds secrets that most people overlook. But what if I told you that freezing bread could completely transform your food game? You might think, freezing bread? That's just for leftovers, right? Wrong. We're about to dive into the why, the how, and the you'll never go back to your old ways of freezing bread. This isn't your grandma's kitchen hack. This is science, practicality, and a dash of humor wrapped up in one delicious package. Let's start with the obvious: freshness. Bread, as glorious as it is, has an unforgiving shelf life. Leave it out too long, and you're faced with stale sadness, or worse, moldy misery. But freezing? It's like hitting the pause button on time. The science here is pretty simple. At freezing temperatures, the process of starch retrogradation, the culprit behind staling, slows to a crawl. This means your loaf stays fresher, longer. And here's where it gets interesting. Studies have shown that freezing bread not only preserves its freshness, but can also improve its texture once thawed, especially if you warm it up in the oven. That's right, your bread can come out of the freezer tasting better than it went in. Picture a crispy crust and soft, pillowy interior, all from a loaf you froze weeks ago. Now, let's talk waste. Did you know that around 900,000 tons of bread are wasted annually in the UK alone? Imagine the mountains of perfectly good bread that could have been saved with a simple trip to the freezer. Not only is freezing bread a game changer for your wallet, but it's also a step towards reducing food waste. Still not convinced? Let's address the skeptics. Some people worry that frozen bread loses its flavor or becomes soggy. Here's the key: proper storage. Wrap your bread tightly in plastic wrap or aluminum foil and then place it in an airtight bag. This prevents freezer burn and locks in that fresh bread taste. Pro tip: slice the bread before freezing it. This way, you can grab just what you need without thawing the whole loaf. But freezing bread isn't just about practicality. It's about versatility. Want to whip up some breadcrumbs for a recipe? Frozen bread grates beautifully. Craving toast? Frozen slices pop perfectly into your toaster. Feel like treating yourself to a gourmet sandwich. Thawed bread holds its structure and flavor like a champ. The possibilities are endless, and the effort is minimal. Oh, and for the health-conscious among us, here's a little bonus. Freezing bread can actually lower its glycemic index. That means your body digests it more slowly, helping to avoid blood sugar spikes. So not only are you saving money and reducing waste, but you're also making a healthier choice. Here's a quick example. Let's say you're hosting a dinner party and have leftover artisanal sourdough. Instead of watching it go stale, freeze it. Weeks later, when you're craving a slice of heaven, pop it in the oven. Your guests will think you baked it fresh that day. And now, for the final hook. You've been told all your life to keep bread at room temperature or in the fridge, but refrigeration actually speeds up the staling process. Shocking, right? The freezer, on the other hand, is bread's best friend. Think of it as a luxury spa retreat for your loaf, preserving its beauty and soul until you're ready to indulge. So, why freeze bread? Because it's smart, it's simple, and it's downright transformative. Whether you're saving a special loaf, reducing waste, or just looking for a way to make your mornings easier, freezing bread is the hack you didn't know you needed. If this video opened your eyes, don't keep this secret to yourself. Hit that like button, share it with your friends, and check out my other videos for more life-changing tips. Trust me, once you start freezing bread, you'll never look at your pantry the same way again.